The couple arrived at the forest just before sunset, parking their car at the edge of the dense woods. Michael slung a backpack over his shoulder and grinned. "See? Nothing creepy about it." Sarah glanced at the towering trees, their branches clawing at the fading light. "Let's just set up before it gets dark," she muttered. They found a small clearing and pitched their tent. The air smelled of damp earth and pine, and for a while the serenity of nature lulled their fears. Michael built a fire while Sarah unpacked their supplies. As darkness fell, the forest grew unnervingly quiet. The usual nighttime sounds, chirping crickets, rustling leaves, seemed to vanish, replaced by a heavy silence. "Is it just me? Or does it feel weird?" Sarah asked, staring into the flickering flames. Michael shrugged, poking the fire with a stick. "It's just your imagination. These woods are old. They probably play tricks on people." But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling. She glanced into the surrounding trees, their shadows twisting in the firelight. For a moment, she thought she saw movement, a flicker of something pale darting between the trunks. "Did you see that?" she whispered. Michael turned, scanning the darkness. "See what?" Someone out there," Sarah said, her voice trembling. Michael sighed. "It's probably an animal. Relax." But as the hours passed, the oppressive quiet deepened. Then came the sound, a low, rhythmic humming, faint but unmistakable. It seemed to come from all directions at once, surrounding them. "Okay, that's not normal," Michael admitted, standing up. He grabbed a flashlight and shone it into the trees. The beam cut through the fog that had begun to roll in, but revealed nothing. "Let's just go back to the car," Sarah urged, her voice shaking. Michael hesitated, then nodded. They doused the fire and grabbed their belongings, but as they started toward the trail, the humming grew louder. It was no longer distant. It was close, vibrating in the air around them. "Michael, hurry!" Sarah cried, clutching his arm. They quickened their pace, but the trail seemed to stretch endlessly, the trees pressing closer. The fog thickened, swirling around them like a living thing. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered and died. "Damn it!" Michael cursed, smacking it uselessly. In the pitch-black darkness, Sarah gasped. "Do you see that?" Ahead of them, a faint light glowed, a pale, cold blue. It hovered in the air, swaying gently like a lantern carried by unseen hands. Michael grabbed Sarah's hand and pulled her forward. Maybe it's someone who can help. As they approached, the light receded, always staying just out of reach. It led them deeper into the woods, the humming growing louder with each step. The trees around them became warped and twisted, their bark resembling anguished faces frozen in silent screams. "Michael, we need to turn back," Sarah pleaded, her voice breaking. But when they looked behind them, the trail had vanished. There was no going back. The light stopped in a clearing, a perfectly circular patch of ground where nothing grew. In the center stood a massive tree, its gnarled branches stretching skyward like skeletal fingers. The humming ceased, replaced by a deafening silence. Michael and Sarah froze as a figure stepped out from behind the tree. It was tall and emaciated, its skin a sickly gray that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Its face was featureless, save for hollow eye sockets that oozed a black, tar-like substance. The creature raised a bony hand, and the humming returned, louder and more intense. Sarah screamed as her legs gave out, her body collapsing to the ground. Michael tried to pull her up, but he too felt an unbearable weight pressing down on him. The creature moved closer, its empty gaze fixed on them. Michael fumbled for something, anything to defend them, but his limbs felt heavy, as if the air itself was dragging him down. "Stay back!" he shouted, though his voice was barely a whisper. The hollow one reached out, its long fingers brushing